Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Brass Monkey X. So we're working on the old 2003 Dodge Durango again today. Old Project Doomsday here. Today we are changing out the alternator on this bad boy. So how I diagnosed this was, I was driving to work the other day, my battery light came on, right? And my radio shut off, my lights started to dim. Anytime that starts to happen, it's like a sure sign that it's your alternator. Now there is equipment you can buy that will test it and you can figure out if it's the alternator or the battery or whatever. I don't have that kind of stuff. I'm just a guy in my driveway with my cheap toolkit, my Coke Zero. You know, I'm just a regular guy, just like you guys. You know, I'm not in a shop. I can't put my truck up on a lift. I don't have fancy equipment. So that's why I like to make these videos for regular guys like you and me. So anyway, like I said, if your lights start to dim, your radio goes out, you're losing power, your battery light comes on, it's most likely the alternator. So it's right here on this vehicle. This is the 4.7 liter, the V8 Magnum. Obviously this thing is old. It's never been replaced. So this thing is 20 something years old, 23 years old now. It's just about time to do this. You can see it's seen better days. So we're going to get that changed out today. Now, when you do this, it's probably a good idea to go ahead and change your battery as well, because basically your alternator charges your battery. Okay. And then the car, all the electronics, everything, it's running off of the battery, but the alternator keeps that battery charged. Now I was driving it around with a bad alternator, which means I drained my battery probably, but I don't know, because I got in it this morning, it started right up, the battery light's still on. So this is a pretty decent battery. I'm going to see if I can salvage this one, but you guys, you should probably be changing your battery out when you do this. I'm going to try and get away with it because I'm cheap. If not, I'm just going to slap a new battery in it after I'm all done. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Okay, guys, so step one, the first thing you're going to do, if you're ever doing anything electric related in your vehicle, disconnect the battery, okay? You just disconnect it at the terminals right here. There's a bolt right here. You loosen that up, pull it off. Same thing over here on the positive. Just loosen that up and pull it off. It's going to be a 10 millimeter. Okay, so let me go ahead and get that done. All right, guys, once you get the battery terminals off, it's a good time to come in here with a wire brush and just go ahead and clean these off if you are keeping the battery. Can't hurt to keep all the corrosion off of these terminals. These aren't too bad. I've seen them get really bad before. But yeah, you just brush them with a wire brush and you're good to go. Then, what you're going to do is, you're going to come over here, and if you take a look at your belt routing diagram, we're working on the 4.7 liter. The next step is to take the serpentine belt off. So to get that off, you got to find the tensioner, okay? That's going to be this pulley right down here. I'll show you where that is. Bam, right down there. It's the furthest pulley to the passenger side of the engine. I know it's a little tough to see, but right down there. Okay, there's going to be a bolt right in the middle of the pulley. It's a 15 millimeter. So you get a 15 millimeter socket on there. And then, sorry guys, I got a phone call there for a minute. Okay, so like I was saying, once you get that 15 millimeter socket on there, right, you get your breaker bar out. Now, if you don't have a breaker bar, you can use something like this. Just get like the biggest ratchet you have, and then like a cheater bar. I use like an old shotgun barrel. I just put this on the back of the ratchet, and I use that to get leverage. So you don't have to have a breaker bar, but it helps. Once you get that on there, to get the belt off, all you're going to do is grab the breaker bar, and you're going to push it towards the driver's side like this, okay? And when you push it, if you watch the belt here, I'm going to try and do this while I'm filming. The belt should get nice and loose. It's hard to see. Let me see here. Maybe I can get down in there. All right. Okay. The belt loosens up. See how it gets loose like that when you push? So what you're going to do is you're just going to push that tensioner as far over as you can and then pull the belt off. Then the belt's going to come off all those pulleys there, and then you're free to go ahead and start working on the alternator. So let me go ahead and do that because I can't do that while I'm filming. I only have two hands. I need them both. So I'll be right back. All right, so as you can see, I've got the belt off. Now, when you guys do this, if you're just doing the alternator, you may not want to take the belt all the way off. Just pull it off of the alternator pulley and let it hang there on the rest of the pulleys. There should be enough tension in it where it's not going to just completely fall off. Okay, and it's going to help you put it back on later. Me, I had to take the belt all the way off because I'm doing more work after I'm done with the alternator. I'm also doing the power steering pump. So I just needed to pull the whole thing off. And you're also going to have to pull it off if you're going to be replacing it. So now's a good time to check the belt. See if there's any frays in it, if it's worn anywhere. This one looks pretty good. It's fairly new. So I'm not going to be replacing this belt. I'm just going to put this one back on when I'm done. Now that may not be your case. You may want to replace it. I don't know. You got to check your belt and see. So next we're going to be taking out the alternator here. Now to get the alternator out, there's 3 bolts on this thing. All right, I'll show you where the bolts are. You've got one on top here. This one is a 13 millimeter. And then you've got 2 15 millimeters. There's one right down here on the left side and one right down here on the right side. Now, if you have trouble locating the bolts and you're doing this on a different vehicle where you can't really see them, the best bet is to just look at the new alternator and you'll see where the bolt holes are. There's one up here, one right here, and one right here. That way you know. That's the best way to figure it out. So, now that we have those located, we can take those bolts out. Okay, but before we do that, there's 2 plugs that we have to get off. There's a plug right back here, and there's this plug right here on the top. Okay, so you're going to pop those plugs off, take the bolts out, and the alternator should come right out of there. Okay guys, so check it out. You pop this one off the back here, this plug. Now, mine was brittle, and the stupid little tab actually broke off, so that kind of sucks. But we'll deal with that later. So that one came right off. This one here, what you have to do is you're going to have to loosen up this bolt here. And there's another bolt on the other side. They're 10 millimeter. Loosen them up. You don't have to take them all the way out. Just loosen them so that you get a little bit of play in this here. And you can lift this up a little. Because that's how you're going to get to this here. Okay. This isn't going to pop off unless you lift this up a little. See how it hits that? So you got to be able to lift that up and then slide it off. Now once you do, okay, I mean you can take that all the way off if you want, but I'm not dealing with all that. So you push that little cap out of the way, and then down in here, this is a 13 millimeter nut. I don't have a 13 millimeter. I lost mine somehow, but I have my trusty adjustable wrench. So I just get my adjustable on there. I'm going to twist that off. This nut's going to come all the way off. Just like so. Okay, you don't have to save that. The new alternator should come with a new nut. And then this wire here, you're just going to pull that off of the alternator. I'm going to set this off to the side. Then you go ahead, take your bolts out, and you can pull the alternator right out of there. Okay guys, this shot here is for the guy in the comments, okay, who on my last how-to video complained that I didn't show myself actually turning a wrench. He wanted to see me actually taking a bolt out. So I got the last bolt down in there. I need my cheater bar, my shotgun barrel, because these are pretty tight. You go ahead and crack it loose. There we go. There's me actually turning a wrench. I don't know why that's pertinent to the video. I'm pretty sure you guys get the point. But that's for that one jerk in the comments who complained that I didn't actually turn a wrench on the video. So there you go. Okay guys, so once you have the 3 bolts out, in order to get the alternator out of there, you can get a pry bar, or in my case, big ass screwdriver. Just stick it right down in here and give it a little leverage. And it starts to move. And you can wiggle that right out of there. I know there's a little bit of corrosion and whatnot, and it's holding it on. But yeah, pry bar or a big screwdriver like that, and you'll wiggle it right out. So let me go take care of that. All right, guys, I got the old one out. Here's the new one here. She's real shiny. Man, that looks too good to put in this truck. But anyway, so what you're going to do is you're going to line up all your holes, your bolt holes. If you look on the left side here, you got this hole here. That's going to go right down there. Okay, that piece there is going to go in between these two holes. And on the other side here, you got this bolt hole and this bolt hole. They're going to go there and right there. So you just kind of drop it right in there and line up your holes and then go ahead and bolt it up. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. Yeah, there we go. We got it in there. Yeah, I'm going to need both my hands. So let me go ahead and get this lined up, get the bolts in there. And then once the bolts are in, I'll come back. I'll show you how to tighten those down. Okay, guys. So to tighten up the bolts on this, I've got them all in there. They're all pretty much hand tight now. Now what I'm going to do is, I don't know torque specifications, nor do I give a shit. Like, it really doesn't matter to me. I've done plenty of alternators in my life, and I've never torqued them down to spec. I don't really torque anything to spec, really, ever. So I just get my ratchet on here, get it nice and snug. Once you feel it get a little tight, okay, get it as tight as you can with your hand. Then I'm going to get my cheater bar in here, and I'm just going to give it a good, and there you go. That's all you really need. That's how I tighten those up. I don't go crazy. I don't go looking up the specs. You can look up the torque specs if you want. I don't deal with that shit. Okay, once you got your bolts all snugged up, what you're going to do is reconnect all your wiring harnesses. The one right here on the top and the one on the back. Okay, this one here on the top, you just go ahead, take that nut off of there. You're going to slip this back on just like that. Tighten your nut down. And that's cool. This actually relocated it. It's not so much underneath this cover anymore. It's off to the side, which is good. So I can pop that right back on. And then you go ahead and pop this one right onto the back. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done. Okay, with the wiring harnesses back on the back there, we're going to go ahead and tighten this back down and this bolt over here back down so that this is no longer loose. And then we'll go ahead and put the belt back on. Okay, guys, so we got our belt back on, and I gotta say, doing the belt was the most difficult part of doing this entire job. Now, let me give you some advice here. If you're gonna do it, this is your diagram here, the 4.7 liter. What I did was, first off, make sure you put your belt over the fan. You gotta go behind the fan and get your belt onto the front of the engine, okay? Don't forget to go around the fan, because if you get to go around the fan, it's not going to work out for you, okay? So once you get it around the fan, start at the bottom on the biggest pulley. That's for the crank, okay? You put it around there. Then I came around the power steering, up around the alternator, down around the water pump. Then I came up the other side around the idler, okay? Then I came around the tensioner, and then it was hanging loose under the AC. Okay, that's this one right here at the top. Now once you get it around all these other ones, it's going to stay in place. Then you're just going to grab your breaker bar that you have on the tensioner down there, crank it over, and with your other hand, just pop that belt over the AC pulley, which is, again, the one right here on the top. That's how I did it. I think that was the best way to do it. I tried going around everything except the tensioner, and then I tried to move the tensioner and put it, that wasn't working. So like I said, start at the bottom, come around the right side, okay, come up around the water pump, then come around this way, okay, come around the left side, go around the idler and the tensioner, leave it hanging under the AC. Then you want to crank it over, crank the tensioner, and pop it up over the air conditioner. I found that to be the easiest way to do it. Then you're going to go ahead, reconnect your battery terminals, and then we'll go ahead, start it up, and make sure everything's working good. Let me just get my key here. All right, if we did it right, our battery light should stay off now. So we had the battery light on. Yep, perfect. The battery light's gone. Everything sounds like it's running fine. Yeah, everything's turning properly in there. Belt looks like it's on correctly. It's not hanging off any of the pulleys anywhere. Perfect. Everything looks good. And that, my friends, is how you change an alternator on a 2003 Dodge Durango. But thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you watching, and we'll catch you next time.